Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this webinar on amending state well reports. I'm Julia Stanford, and I am the Programs and Operations Manager for Texas Alliance of Groundwater Districts, also known as TAG. We also have Executive Director Leah Martinson and our Administrative and Events Assistant, Anique Maddox, online with us to assist with any questions or back-end troubleshooting. Before I introduce our speaker for today, I wanted to go over a few technical housekeeping items, including something that is different than most of our other webinars. So listen closely. First, this presentation will not be a typical PowerPoint slide presentation. It will be a real-time demonstration through this state well report system. We've noticed that screen sharing like this can cause some bandwidth issues sometimes with your internet connection. So we recommend you take a minute now to close out any programs or applications on your computer that you don't need. That seems to help the connection. It makes the program happier. I've also advised Heather that she may need to cut off her camera if we run into connection issues, but we'll hope that we can keep her on. We have about 50 people joining us today, which is a fantastic turnout. Although we know you're out there, we see your names, this webinar format does not allow for audience cameras. So the focus will be on the speaker, and you can't turn on your microphone on your own, but at the end, you might have an opportunity if you have any questions that you need to verbalize. And we'll go over that in just a minute. So for questions during the presentation, you can type them into the questions tab of this GoToWebinar control panel that you see. Questions submitted here will go directly to the TAG staff, and we will moderate them and share them as appropriate. Keep in mind that this is not a chat function. Once you submit something, it just goes to staff and the panelists, and other people can't see it. So now that is where the majority of questions will go. However, if there's something, you need to engage in a dialogue with the presenter or something a little more specific and drawn out, what you can do is use the little raise hand function. It looks like a hand. And what I can do is unmute you from the back end to allow you to speak then. So that's something that you can use probably at the end, but any other questions, just send them in as you think of them. And if it's something that we need to interrupt and get handled before we move on, Heather has given me permission to chime in as needed. Let's see, we will be recording this. It'll be posted on our YouTube channel, and we'll send it out to everyone probably early next week. I don't think we'll get to it today. So that way you can revisit anything you may have missed or share it with other district staff or board members. And that is it at this time for technical housekeeping type items. But I did want to offer a quick reminder before we get started that this is part of one of the many educational trainings that we bring our members year round. We've got, of course, the annual Groundwater Summit, the speaker series at our business meetings every winter and spring, the cybersecurity video, GCD boot camps, public funds training, and of course, webinars like this. So we hope you find these trainings really valuable, and we're always welcoming any ideas that you might have for future trainings. And with that, I will start to be quiet, and I will introduce our speaker today. We have Heather Dodson here from the Texas Water Development Board. She is the data team lead for groundwater technical assistance at the board. She's been there for 17 years, and I just found out that she started as a field staff in that department, traveling around the state, getting water level measurements. And so now she's the person behind the computer working on the data. So we're thrilled to have Heather with us today. We also have David Gunn from TDLR. For any questions, the system that you'll be learning about is kind of a joint effort that several agencies deal with. And so David Gunn at TDLR is here to answer any questions that Heather is not familiar with, and just another expert voice for this presentation. So he is the manager of water well driller and pump installer program at the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. So I'm sure most of you have seen or known David and Heather at some point, but I'm thrilled to have you learn from them. So at this point, I will let Heather take it away with the demonstration. And as I mentioned, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them into the bar. Thanks. Welcome, Heather.
Thanks, Julia. Thank you guys. Welcome. I'm really happy that you guys are participating in the webinar and also participating in the program to help out with doing some minor amendments to well reports. And I especially appreciate it because I know it's the Friday before Thanksgiving. So have a little icebreaker, which I know this is not the right format because you guys actually can't speak, but well, you can speak, we just can't hear you. But so I wanted to do this so that for those of you that are going to be going to Thanksgiving dinners and family functions next week, I have a couple of jokes that you can tell at these family functions. These are dad jokes, so they should be pretty low key. So here's what I know is going to be happening. You guys are either going to be screaming the answers out at your computer, even though I can't see it, or you'll be rolling your eyes and groaning, but that's good because the eye rolls are going to really stretch those eyes and help you stay awake for the rest of the webinar. So the first one that I had was, why was the turkey asked to join the band? And the answer is because he has his own drumsticks. And then the other one that I have is, what's the best song to sing when preparing your turkey? And that song would be, because it's all about the bass, about that bass. Those are free. There's no extra charge for those. So you can use those at your Thanksgiving dinner. But now it's time, we have to get serious. No more fun for the rest of this webinar. So first thing that I have this screen up because if you're going to be doing a well amendment, probably the first thing that you want to do is you want to have a copy of the well report in front of you for a number of reasons. But you're going to need information off of it to get started and then as you're entering the amendments. So if you are not familiar with our submitted drillers report database, submitted drillers report database, reports and downloads page, I'm going to put the link up at the end of the presentation, but I also wanted to show you how you can get there from our homepage. So from the Texas Water Development Board homepage, if you go to Groundwater, click on this Groundwater link, and then underneath data right here, if you go down to Submitted Drillers Report Database, this is going to bring up the Submitted Drillers Reports, Database Reports, and Downloads. And this page, if you scroll down, it's going to give you two options. It's going to give you more than two options. The two options that you're going to want to use are this well report search by map or tracking number, which will bring up our groundwater data viewer with the well reports highlighted. These are the orange dots. So if you know a tracking number, you can enter that in here and it will zoom to, let's see if we've got, I'm sure we have a submitted drillers report. So you've got the tracking number and it will zoom you to that well report, and then you can click on this link here and it will open up that report for you. And then you'll be able to look at the report to get the information. I'm going to pull this one up. It's going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be entering and amending data, and I didn't really want to amend live data. And unfortunately, I didn't have any reports that needed amending on cue that I could kind of kill two birds with one stone. So I'm going to be working in a different environment. So I'm going to pull mine up a little bit differently, but I'm also going to show you how you can do that because you'll be able to do it the same way if you once you have the tweezers access. So the main thing that you're going to want to start off. Yes?
I'm so sorry. I was looking at who's attending, and I know we've got some people that are a little new to the GCD world. Could you go back a little bit and just go over briefly, what is a well report? Why do they exist? Why are you looking at it?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, perfect. So perfect timing. So we pulled up the well report. This is essentially what you're looking at right here is the product from the Texas Well Report Submission and Retrieval System, which is the application that the drillers or staff at the drilling company use to enter in the well completion information. So when a well is drilled, they are required by the state to submit the completion information either in a paper form or online. We're moving toward having everything entered online that will generate this state of Texas well report. And so this basically just lets everyone, in particular the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, know that they have completed the well correctly. So it's got all the information on here. The first part, this is like the well information. It's telling you the owner, the location, what county it's in, the type of work that was done, what the proposed well use was. And then the rest of it here kind of goes into the actual completion date, when it was drilled, drilling began and ended, the borehole size, the drilling method. You've got filter information, annular seal information. Down here, you have water level information, if there were packers installed, the type of pump that was installed, and the pump depth if they provide that. And if they did a well test, production test, it's going to be listed here. And then on the second page, you've got a water quality test if they perform that. You've got the driller information, and this is a section that you're going to need to be familiar with. And then the last thing that you have is the lithology information here, and then the well casing information here.
Had a question come in that I think is specific to this. So
yeah.
Why would some drillers leave the static level and GPM data blank? One person noticed that a lot of theirs are missing that data. Why is that something that's okay to leave empty?
I'm actually going to let David answer this question.
David, looks like you might need to unmute yourself. Unmute. David, do you want to click the little microphone? There we go.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah, somebody had unmuted, muted me and I couldn't talk. What was the question?
It was the static level and GPM data. Why is that something that can be left blank?
Well, back in the earlier days, we didn't review them as close. We're reviewing them now, and when they submit amendment, I'll look at them, and then if I go in there and find that the water level's missing, I send them an email back that says that's got to be placed in, and I'll deny the amendment until they fix it. So we are requiring that now. In the early days, we left it optional. And we're also going to be working on a new system, hopefully, that when they enter a water well report, it's going to make that a required field. Right now, the way it's set up, hindsight's 50-50, you know. 2020, I mean. Anyway, we're gonna if they, on the proposed use, if they put in water well, then it's going to require all the fields that we want, because we also allow monitor wells and environmental stuff put in. Well, they are not required to give water levels and stuff like that. So when we set this up, we didn't take that into account. We're learning, so we're going to fix it.
Great.
And hopefully in the future, you'll be able to have all the information you need.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Carry on, Heather. Sorry to interrupt.
No, perfect. Okay, so that's the well report in general. So you're going to want to pull this up, and so I really want, since there's another way to do it, I wanted to walk you through this just in case. Like, I know we're going to have staff here that just have varying degrees of familiarity with our different websites and that, but especially as you're moving toward doing well amendments and working with the well reports more often, this is a really good page to become familiar with. In addition to, so we talked about the first way is you can use the map viewer. If you don't know a tracking number, you could also use the map viewer to enter in an address. So if you knew that a well was drilled at a certain address and you wanted to see if a well report had been entered, you could enter in an address and it would zoom you to that location as well, and you could see if there were any. We'll just do it real quick. So if we just do, like, we'll put in our address here, and then it'll just zoom you to that location and you can zoom in and see, and I apologize, my internet is a little slow. But so then you can zoom in and then you could see if there are any well reports that are showing here. Now, one downfall to this, if you have a tracking number, this should work even if the well location information was not entered correctly, which is a possibility because that's one of the main pieces of information that you'll likely be amending on the well report. So if you enter in an address and there's no well there, but you know that the coordinates might be wrong, another way that you can, then the map doesn't help that much if you don't know the tracking number. So another method that you can use to search for well reports is we've got this, and I should say I'm using well reports generically. This is going to apply for both well and plugging reports. So here's the link for, this is still, we're on the submitted drillers reports, database reports and downloads page. Scrolling down under reports, there's the search by map. And then we have this well reports advanced search. And then down a little bit more, we have the plugging reports advanced search, and they'll work together. And for the sake of time, we're going to just focus on well reports, but it should be pretty much the same for plugging reports. So if you click on this well report search by county and use, and I already had pulled that up, so or I did not. I guess I will go ahead and pull it up. Sorry, pull this up. And so this is where you can search. So now if you have the address and you want to type in an address here to see if there's a well report there, this will pull up the address that's entered on the well report. So you could also, if you don't want to use, if you know the owner name, so you know that it was drilled for a particular owner, you can enter in the owner name. And the way that this search field works, if you've never used this, is it searches on any information. So like if you know the last name was Smith, but you enter in Smith for the enter name, and I shouldn't do this because there's probably going to be 1,000 Smiths, so we'll see how long this takes. But it's going to search for anything that starts or contains SMIT in the name. So if the name was Smith, if it was Smithson, if it was Smith, I'm trying to think of something that has SMIT in the middle, but it'll search on everything. So to some degree, I usually tell people less is more, and it'll also search for everything that you enter. So if you know that the name is Michael Smith and you enter in Michael Smith, but the driller entered the name as Mike Smith, it won't show up because it's looking for an exact match in Michael. I apologize, and we probably don't have to wait for this to finish. We can come back to it, but this is a way to search in addition to location. So sometimes this is a little bit better, especially if you know that the well might be plotted in the wrong location. You can come in here and you can search for additional information in the well report that's going to help you track this down. I use it all the time when we're trying to help people find well reports and it's not showing up on the map viewer. I'll almost always come here and in the well address field, I'll enter in just the street name. And I enter in just the street name. I don't enter lane, drive, road, boulevard, any of that, because you don't know if they abbreviated, if they put a period at the end, if they spelled it out. So I just put in the street name. And you might also want to like break it down. That's what I should have done, is reduce this to a single county, and now it's searching for the whole state. But go ahead and enter in a county from the drop-down box right here to reduce the number of sites that it's going to have to search. So I'm going to let this keep searching. We can come back and see the results. Maybe at the end of the webinar, it might be done. And so we're going to go back. So that's this page here. I hope that you bookmark it. I think it's something that might be useful in trying to find well report information. So I'm going to jump in now to the Texas Well Report Submission and Retrieval System. Now, some of you have already gone through the process of registering for an account in and I'm going to call it tweezers from now on. If I didn't already mention that, I had that as a note. We call the Texas Well Report Submission and Retrieval System, which the abbreviation is TWRSRS, the name that we refer to that as tweezers. So if you hear me say tweezers, we are referring to the Texas Well Report Submission and Retrieval System application. And that's what this is here. And I don't know why it doesn't look like it kept my zoom level on all of these. So pardon me for just a moment. I don't know how to minimize that. So I'm gonna have to, I apologize. This is gonna look a little funky. Sorry about that. We're gonna bump this up to make this up. Let's keep it at 100. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So here we go. So I'm actually, one thing I want to just say, so from here on out, from here on out, I'm going to be working in a development environment from here on out. So the information won't be live, it's not real. So just letting you know, if you see something that looks a little funny, you're going, oh, that's odd. But so for most of you that have requested access, this is, some of you may already have admin rights, and some of you don't, because I haven't submitted those yet. So when you first register for an account in the Texas Well Report Submission and Retrieval System, and if you haven't done that already, we have a procedure that we will share with you that walks you through the steps for how to do that. So no worries, I'm not going to go through that today just for time's sake, but I have a procedure that we can share with you, and then you're more than welcome to call us up if you're in any issues registering. So we're happy to share that procedure with you. Once you're registered, once you have an account, everybody who first signs up, this is what your screen is going to look like when you first open it up. And when you click on, actually it won't, I lied, it has a different welcome screen. Once you click on Driller's List right here, this is what the screen is going to look like. And for most of you, this is exactly what it's going to look like. It's going to have a driller's list with no drillers listed. You can still do well amendments without admin access. You're going to have to associate to a driller. You're going to have to associate to every driller that you want to amend reports for. So when you have the, I'm going to jump over, when you get admin access, your driller's list screen is going to look like this, and it's going to be auto-populated with every single driller that's in our system. So you will not have to associate to drillers. You can just come in here. You can search by either a license number, by the driller name, or by the driller company, and it'll filter out the list based on the entries that you enter here. So I'm going to run through real quick. I have one just in case any of you are like eager to start doing well amendments. You've got some that you want to do, and it's only for one driller, and it won't matter if you are associated to drillers. When you have admin access, it's just going to take you to this. It won't matter who you've associated to. You'll have the new screen. It'll look just like this. So what you would do is you're going to click on the Associate Driller button. We're going to enter in a license number and then the PIN. Click OK. And now you see in the drillers list, a driller has popped up. So we have this. This was for Brian Anderson, who used to work here and was the prior data team lead. So you see now I'm associated with Brian Anderson, and I can go in and I can select him and look at his well report information. So I'm going to leave this screen now. We're not going to do anything else on this screen, just because for the most part, everything that I'm gonna switch over to the admin screen, and everything that you're gonna do in the admin screen is gonna be very similar to what you would be doing here. So I just wanted to run through that. One thing I want to mention that we run through is when you're at in addition to the submitted drillers report, database reports and downloads, we also have this page right here, if you can see, linking on the right-hand side, the Texas Well Report Submission and Retrieval System page. And this page, it's got the link that you can get directly to the tweezers application right here. And then it's got a whole bunch of tutorials, tips, and tricks. It's under video tutorials. It's an older video tutorial, and these were intended for drillers. But this is all of our videos that run through how to use the tweezers application. And this last one is actually a video on how to do amendments. So that's a resource that's available. Hopefully this one will be a little bit more up to date, but not a lot of changes have gone on since then. So I'm going to just try to close out some of these windows to hopefully improve production here. So we're going to go back. So now we're here at the main Texas Well Report Submission and Retrieval System application. I'm going to go ahead and just select myself as the driller. So I'm going to be amending reports that I entered. So in order to do that, you've got two options, select and edit. Edit is to change the driller information. So like if they change companies or contact information. So this is primarily used by the drillers to edit their own information. So what you're going to do though, is you're going to select a driller. I will say, if you try to do anything, if you're like, I want to look at submitted well reports, I'm already associated, I lied. I guess I already selected it. So it won't let you, it'll tell you must, if you try to do anything, it's going to tell you select a driller first. So I may already have been selected. So now I'm selected. You can see that. You can see the driller information that you're working with right up here at the top of the page, so that if you are looking for something and you're like, oh, this person should have done it, it may be, especially if you're doing this for several drillers, just always look up here and make sure that the driller name is actually the driller for the report that you're trying to amend. So now you're basically in the application for the driller. So anything that you click on over here, like it defaults to saved well reports. So if they had any saved well reports, they would show up here. One distinction that I want to make, you see there's two categories. You've got the saved well reports, the submitted well reports. You've got saved well amendments, submitted well amendments, and then saved plugging reports, submitted plugging reports, saved plugging amendments, and submitting plugging amendments. The difference between saved and submitted is big, and it does cause some confusion. If you save a well report, a plugging report, or an amendment, it is not official. It is basically still in progress. It means I'm working on this well report, I'm working on this amendment, and I haven't finished it yet. The application gives you the opportunity to save it and come back to it later. If for some reason something comes up and there's a fire that you have to put out and you aren't going to have time to finish the report, you don't lose all the information. You just save it. I'm going to show you that, but just wanted to do a distinction between saved is not the same as submitted. And so if you've saved a well report and then you're trying to use those report search features that I showed you and you're like, it's not showing up, I'm searching for this owner name, it could be that the well report is saved but not submitted. So that's just a distinction that I want to make there. So then if you go into, what you're going to do is you're going to go into submitted well reports. And so I have a couple that I've entered here. And so it gives you a couple of options from here. You can view the report. You can open up a copy of the report to view it. You can copy it. Don't worry about this. This is when you're like entering reports and stuff. So you won't worry about copy. You won't really worry about deleting well reports is something that should either be done by the driller or staff at like our Texas Water Development Board or the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. And then you've got the confidential and inspection are also things that are used by TDLR. So you really, the only two, got a whole bunch of buttons here, and the only two buttons that you need to worry about are view and edit. So if you haven't already pulled up the well report through either the data viewer or the well report search, you can pull it up from the application. All of these fields here that you see have these boxes, they're searchable. You can enter in a tracking number here and search by it. You can enter in an owner name, a county, the date submitted. You can search on all of that. And this is pretty easy because I only have two, so I don't really need to filter these out. So, but I do still want to open the report before I edit it. So I'm going to click the view button. This is going to vary depending on your browser. And I apologize because mine is probably opening in the browser. And so I am going to have to shrink my screen again, sorry. And to pull up to get to the downloads, let's see. Oh, it's waiting. Oh, so sorry. This is, we can work around it if this doesn't.
It's because this is downloading separately as like a PDF or something?
Correct. It's downloading it is going to be downloading. And then unfortunately, I don't know I wonder if, out of curiosity, if it will let me try one thing. So sorry about this. I should have tried this. I think I can get in. I think I can get a copy of the report this way. Travis.
I just saw it pop up. It looks like the download finished.
Did it? Okay, awesome. We'll do it there. That's awesome. That didn't take long at all. Okay, so here's that. And then you know what I'm going to go ahead and do? We're doing this one. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to view this one. That one went a lot faster. I guess the first time, you know what it is? It's the first time that it accessed the dev server. So we should have both of these open now. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is the first one that we're going to do. And so on this one, what we're going to need to change. So I've got the well report pulled up. The reason that you might sometimes need to pull this up before you're in the application is you're going to need to know the license number of the driller in order to get into their well report. So that's where the map, if you already know it, that's great. Or if you have a copy of the report already, like you printed it out, then you don't need to worry about it. You've got a copy of the report, a hard copy, you're good to go. But if you don't have that and you've just gotten, somebody has sent you an email, or you've got a spreadsheet of sites that you need to update, that's when those other ones come. Using the other search methods on our web pages are helpful. So now you've got a copy of the well report, and what we're going to change. So the one thing we want to start from the beginning, the basic information that you all will be editing is the information that's in this box right here. Though it's just the well information and location. If there are changes to any kind of like the well construction completion, those really should be kicked back to the driller to have them make any of those changes. So this is primarily the area that we're going to be working with. I want to just real quick, I wanted to ask David, because I wasn't sure on the answer to this, is if there are typos in any of this information. So like if there's a typo in lithology, is that something that the GCDs can fix? Or if it's really any type of error in this section, should that be only done by drillers? Sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. It just depends on what it is. If it's in the lithology because they spelled shell wrong, we don't really concern ourselves about that. But, if it's something major, they can contact me and
okay,
we'll make the changes or look at it and let them know why we can or cannot.
Okay, awesome. Okay, perfect. So yeah, pretty much just keep it to, this is the basic area that you're going to be focused on. And so what we're going to do in this one, so we've got this well report that was drilled for Jerry Seinfeld, but what they did is they've got the address wrong. Jerry did not live in apartment 5B. That was Kramer's apartment. Jerry actually lived in apartment 5A. So that's what we need to change. That's the information that we need to change. So we're gonna come here, and now we've viewed it, we've got the report pulled up. Now we're gonna click on edit so that we can actually go in and edit the report. It's gonna ask you, are you sure you want to amend this report? We're gonna say yes. No. Is it gonna give me an error on both of these? Oh no, talk about technology. Okay, let me see if we can do this. And Brian, this is in, oh no, it won't let me do an amendment. Oh, this is terrible. Okay, so I'm going to oh boy, I apologize. This was, I'm gonna go ahead, let me go back into, we're gonna run through an amendment. So we're gonna do driller's list. Oh, it just wouldn't be a webinar without technical difficulties. Sorry about this. Hold on one second. We'll pull this over.
So it's not letting you amend that specific report?
Not in the, it's in it because it's in the dev environment. I think that's where I was like, it can act funny because I didn't want to actually amend actual reports. So I just didn't have any because we didn't have any that we wanted to amend. So let me see if I'm going to go ahead and go into.
Heather, there's one there now you could amend.
Where?
In the amendments.
Oh, in the live, in the
Yeah, in the live one, there's one there if you wanted to use it.
okay. This is actually, this is what the page looks like when you first log in. You get this welcome box, and to get to the drillers list, you will have to click on the drillers list and then all of the boxes. And then I'm so sorry, let me get you so that you can actually see this. Okay, apologies. So we have pending well amendments. Okay. No, but it won't let me run through. I actually wanted to run through. So here's what we're gonna do a little. I'm so sorry. This is we're adapting on the fly here. So we're gonna do an amendment. Unfortunately, I won't be able to save it because we don't want to save. I don't really want to change any of these reports. So hopefully this person has some submittable reports. Okay, so awesome. So you've gone in, I'm gonna go back real quick. I went ahead and I just selected this driller, and it took me to his saved well reports. I click on submitted well reports here, and then here's where you can see, and this is more likely what you're gonna see from a driller. You're gonna see a whole bunch, and you see like down here, it's at the bottom of the page. I'm hoping that that shows up, but just in case, I'll shrink this so that I can pull this up. See that at the very bottom, you've got this page 1 of 5, and so you can page through. And even though you can't see all of the reports on this first page, if you do a filter, so if you enter in like tracking number, owner, county, any of that, it's filtering on all 5 pages. So it will filter on everything that's entered, not just on what's displaying. So you would come in, and so now you're going to say, we want to edit this report. So we're gonna come in here. It's gonna say, are you sure you wanna amend this well report? We're gonna say yes. Good. This is good. So if you have done an amendment, I mean, it's an error, but we're gonna go with it because this is something that we were gonna demonstrate anyway. So perfect. This is a happy accident. I get this message. There's currently a non-submitted amendment for this well. Enter the current amendment to amend this well. So you click OK, and what that means is I'm now gonna go into saved well amendments, and there you go. There's the well amendment. It was never submitted. So now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish amending this well report. So I'm gonna click on edit the well report amendment. We've got this looks like somebody else probably used this for training. So under the well amendment reason, you have a couple of options. You've got the lovely other, typographical error or misspelling, incorrect box check or selection, and omission of data. So, you know, typographical error just means they just misspelled the owner name, something like that. This can also be incorrect address, even though it's not really misspelling, it's just it's incorrect information. An incorrect box check or selection is just something that they've incorrectly selected from like a drop-down menu or a checkbox. And omission of data is maybe there was a well number and they didn't enter one. And so now you want to go in and enter the well number for them. Most commonly probably is I should say other is anything that doesn't fit into one of these three. And then we would just ask, we're going to go into this, you're going to provide that information to us in the amender comments. So most of the time it's going to be typographical error or misspelling. And then for the amender comments, you're going to want to give us, you're going to say what field you're updating, because it's really hard. We don't want to go in when we're approving the amendments. We don't want to go in and look through compare every field side by side to say like, okay, what's different in the original versus the amended. So we're going to come in here and we're going to say updated owner address. And we're going to say next. You're doing an amendment, so you shouldn't have a paper submission for amendments anymore. Now we're to the owner name and address, and this was actually it was supposed to be PO Box 1800, so we're going to change that. It is going to make you, so that's the only change you need to make. The only thing you needed to change was the owner address on this well report. You need to go through all the way through to the end in order to submit it. So you're going to have to go through all of the other pages. So you're going to click next to go to the next page. This is where you're going to get the well location information. My guess is that this is a page that you all will be frequently updating, and largely because of the coordinates right here. This application allows you to enter coordinates in 3 different formats. You can do degrees, minutes, seconds, which is what it's in right now. You can do degrees, decimal minutes, which is this format, and you can do decimal degrees. You can change it. It doesn't matter what format it was entered in. You can enter it in any format, regardless of how it was originally entered. One reason is very often confused is that people enter decimal degrees under degrees decimal minutes, and this will likely give you an error message when you get to the map verification stage, which is next. So we're just going to leave this. We're not going to update the coordinates. You're going to have, you've got the latitude and longitude there. All the rest of the information, this is the well address. This actually should be an address. We've got a couple of options. This really should be a street address. So this should say something like, 1700 North Congress Avenue. If you're using these fields, we're looking for like the 911 type street address. If you don't have that, if this is just like rural Webb County, I was like, what county am I in? So if it's just rural Webb County, then down here, they really need this box filled in, a well location description. And this is going to be something like south on Highway 83, 7 miles from, I don't know any towns in Webb County, so I'm just going to say from Webb City till pavement ends. Go another 2 miles on unpaved road. Well is located 25 yards from end of paved road, something like that. It's basically just a text description of where the well is located, because rural Webb County doesn't give us any indication where the well is actually located. We've got the coordinates, but can get entered incorrectly. And if the coordinates seem wrong, if you plugged in the coordinates that are entered up here and it's plotting in the middle of Highway 83 and you know that's not where the well is located, the next step is we look to the address information to see if that's going to help us determine where the well is located. So we're really looking for something like this as the well location description. You guys don't need to worry about this except to be checking this, like when you're looking at reports and stuff. If it's possible to get this type of information, this is what we're really looking for on the well reports. I want to stop real quick here and say, if at this point the phone rings, someone wants to buy you lunch and you want to go to lunch, you can click save and exit. This is what happened previously, and it will save this amendment in the saved amendments folder, and then you can come back to it later and continue amending the well report. You'll just open it up. It's going to make you start from the beginning again, but if you only, like all I needed to do was get to the end and sign it, you'll just have to keep nexting this. What did I miss? I don't know what information that is. Well, decimal degrees. I don't know what I'm missing. Apologies. I'm going to go ahead and just cancel. It's going to let me. Oh no, maybe it won't because of the. Okay, let me do this. Should not. Oh, it did. It saved everything. I don't know what's missing. Oh, there we go. This is what you're going to come to love about tweezers, is all of the fun glitches that it has. So it's now showing me the location of the well, right? That's where the well is located, that little purple dot. This blue highlighted is the county extent. So if we go zoom to extent, you're going to zoom out where you can see this is the county line. If the well plots outside of the county line that was entered, it's not going to let you proceed. It's going to say the well is not plotting in the same, doesn't match the county that was entered. Otherwise, there's really no other location checks. If you come in here and you look and you zoom in to this location and you say, yep, that's exactly where the well is located. You click yes, and it's gonna proceed on to the next page. You click no, and it's gonna take you back to the well information page so that you can enter in more information. We're gonna say yes. It's gonna bring you to this information, which now this is where you're pretty much just gonna be tabbing through. Since this isn't information this is all information that if this needs to be changed, it really should be done by the driller. So we're just gonna next through all of these pages. There is if for some reason you get to this point and you wanna go back, we recommend, you've also got this previous button, which lets you go back to the previous page. And we actually recommend that you use this button as opposed to using the back button in your browser. Using this back button in your browser to go back to a previous page, it's possible it could cause issues with the application. So try to just use these buttons down here to navigate within the application. We're gonna go next, all the way through all of these pages. And sorry, I'm going fast, but since this is an information that we'll be updating, we're just gonna scroll through this. This overall comments, this is a place that sometimes when you're amending a report, this is some place that you might want to put in comments if there was a reason. Of course, I don't have a potential reason in mind right now, but if there was something that happened or you were updating information and you just wanted to provide some additional information to say, you know, this is why we changed it or whatever. This is kind of just a free, we just ask like maybe put your initials or something here so that we know who entered the comment if we have any questions about that. But this comments field can be used when you're amending a report if there's just, you'd like to provide some additional information that really didn't fit anywhere else in the report. Right. Oh, not that. Let's see. All right. So now we're at the driller's page, and this is another reason that you want to have a copy of the well report pulled up. What you are going to sign it by typing in the driller name, but you don't want to just like come here and copy the driller name and paste it down here, and you're thinking, but why, Heather? That would be so easy. And the reason is there could also be an apprentice that worked on the well, and you want to get their name on there too. So I've probably closed all of these, but we'll pull up since I know it's gonna let me at least see these. And this one, so on here, when you see the report, when you're looking at the report in this driller signature page, you're like, okay, so this was drilled by Heather Dodson, but oh, you know what? This Amy DeLuna worked as an apprentice on this well. So we want to give her the credit as well. So when you go in here to sign this well report, you want to put in both the driller name and the apprentice name. And then I can't make you do it. It's not required. I highly, highly recommend that before you submit a well amendment, you click here and you do view draft report, and it's going to pull up a copy of the amended well report. So this is it right here. It's going to say draft on it because you have not submitted it yet. So this is not an official draft, but you can see here where it's got now the well location information that we entered in there, the more descriptive information. I don't remember if we made any other changes at this point, but also it's got the tracking number, and the tracking number will stay the same. So whatever the tracking number of the original well report was, it's not going to change. It's going to have the same exact tracking report number. It's just the information that's going to change. And so you can scroll through here. Yes, yes.
On the draft, it'll stay there until it's approved.
Oh, okay, good, good. So it'll stay there even when it's pending, as a pending amendment, it'll still say draft. Okay, thank you. Right. So yes, it will stay draft until the changes have been approved. You're gonna see this draft watermark across the page. And then you can see down here, you've got, in this case, in this one, we did have an apprentice on the actual well report as well. So you had the driller, and you also want it signed the same way the driller signed it. So in this case, it was like just Murray McKinley, and then you had the apprentice, whereas like if you had copied it, you know, you would have Murray Don McKinley Jr. That's not how he signs his name. So you want it signed the same way that the driller signed it, so that it looks, everything in that should be exactly the same as on the original well report. And so you've checked the draft, the information's going to stay. If you had signed it, the information's going to stay here. So everything looked good on the draft. And now you want to go ahead and click submit, which I'm not going to do because we don't want to make changes. If you didn't want to submit it, but you wanted to save it, then you would click save and exit. And again, this is now going to show up in the saved amendments reports. So I want to now go, I apologize, we couldn't go through the actual whole procedure to go ahead and submit it and show you what happens. But what happens is it now moves down into, so it's going to show up in the drillers folder. So in this one, it would have showed up in the submitted well amendments right here. It's going to show that this amendment was submitted and it's pending. It's waiting for approval. You guys, I don't think you guys will see this. Right now, this is when I'm logged in as myself, it's super admin rights. It sounds like I'm bragging, but I'm not. It's more work. But you guys will have admin permissions, not super admin. So it might show up. This says admin. I'm sure if this will show up for you all or not. And I'm sorry, we have information on what super admin rights are and what regular user rights are. We don't have a lot of information on admin. So this is something that we're going to be getting more information on about that. But what happens is it now shows up here in the pending well amendments. And so now TDLR staff from David's department are going to come in here and they're going to go through these and they're going to compare the original and the amended version. They're going to look at what the amendment reason was, and they're going to see, does everything look good? And if so, they're going to approve it. And if not, they're going to deny it. And either way, you're going to get an email response back saying this has been approved or this has been denied, and here's the reason why. So you're going to get notified either way. Once it's approved, if you go back into the submitted well reports, when you now view the report, it's going to show the changes. So it will update the report in this submitted well reports section. I want to stop now, and I'm happy to go. I'm so sorry. I wanted to leave more than 3 minutes for questions, but I'm happy to go longer if there are questions. But I want to stop to allow some questions. If anybody has any questions on anything at this point, I want to give you the opportunity to ask that. And then I also want to put this information up for you all. This is to kind of break it down. If you've got questions about the application, about getting registered with the application, or about, entering information or anything like that within the application, then give the groundwater data team a call, send us an email, and we can work through those issues with you. Hopefully, I always say do it well, but I'm going to tell you this one thing. We have a lot of problems with APM. That's our login, our security login. Once it starts giving you issues and giving you error messages, call us. Don't wait until you're ready to throw the laptop across the room, because it will get to that point. It can be really annoying, and we've got some things that we can do to try to work through those. So don't feel bad if you're having issues and it's not letting you log in and you're just going crazy. Give us a call, send us an email, and we'll be able to hopefully get you through that. It's not a you issue most of the time. It's a tweezers issue. So give us a call and we can get you through that. If you have questions, like David mentioned in the beginning, if you're not sure, there's information and you're like, well, I don't think this information is right, but I'm not sure if I'm supposed to change this, or you have questions about the rules and regulations regarding water well drilling or plugging, or something on the report, but it's really more of like a technical regulation type thing, then call the water well drillers and pump installers. You can call me, but I'm just going to give you David's phone number for those types of questions. And then the last thing, and I hope it's visible on your screen, I've got the webinar side pane is covering it. But this is the link. So we kind of showed you how to get there, but this is the link to the submitted drillers report database reports and downloads page if you want to bookmark that. And I know Julia's going to be sending you this information, so you'll have like a link that you can click on to get it to, but just want you to have that information. And now I want to open it up if you all have any questions that you want to ask.
Yeah, thank you so much, Heather. That was very informative. And I will be sending out a follow-up email next week with the recording, and I'll include this link to the database and everyone's contact information. We did have a couple questions come in. Before we get into questions, David, anything, any final thoughts, anything you'd like to add before the specific questions?
Let me see. Okay, there we go. How's that? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. The only thing is when we review the amendments, if anything is missing, especially when the drillers submit them, we deny it, send it back. Like I said a while ago with the water level, for 3 months now, I've been putting little nice messages at the bottom when I approve them that says we need the water level from now on. But now we are denying them without the water level. So, but you know, we had to give them a little bit of leeway because we just couldn't make it a mandatory field at that time when this was set up. So if you have any questions, or if I have to deny one of yours, I will send you a message back that says why, you know. But most of the time I get them from the GCDs. It's just a change of coordinates because the drillers messed it up. I just look at that and I usually go, oh, okay, prove, click next.
Yeah. So speaking of the water level and what's on the well report, right after we discussed that, we did have a couple questions. Could a blank be added for the level the pump was set at so that they know if a well owner has room to lower it?
They have that already.
Okay.
If the driller is the pump installer, okay, a lot of times drillers are just drillers and they have contract with somebody else to come in and put the pump. And when they submit that report, they don't know the pump level. But if you look on the report, right down, pointed out to them, it says submersible, and then to the right, it's got the depth of the pump.
Okay. Now, the next question is that we see not a lot of pump size information is included on the law. Are you considering adding pump information in the logs during the revisions to the forms? I think that answers that question.
Right now, we haven't considered pump size. We can, and we would recommend your suggestions. Send me an email and say it, and I can run it by our lawyers and see if we can add it to the form. I think we're pretty lucky on this form because it says that the executive director may say what material or what information can be put on the form. So we may be able to do that without a rule change.
Okay, and then we do have someone who has a hand raised. Wendy, I will go ahead and unmute you so you can ask your question. If you can activate your microphone, you should be able to hear you. Wendy, did you want to ask a question? I saw your hand raised. All right, maybe not. Okay, moving on, let's see. How often do you feel like a GCD should update these forms? Because this seems like something that's the responsibility of a well driller since they're the ones signing off on the form. Is there going to be an area for the amender to sign off on the change?
The amender can use the comments to tell us they made the change by putting their initials in there. But I'll see it when it comes in as an amendment. Yes, it's the driller's responsibility to get this right. If you want to pass the buck back to him, just go right ahead. If you have a problem with him, you call me and I'll make sure he gets it done because it is their responsibility to supply correct information. But there are districts out there that would just, we know we sent our guy out there and he took a GPS measurement and it's not the same. We would like to change it. Well, we've given them admin rights so they can do that because they wanted to. You don't have to. You can just tell us and we'll do it. But it seems to be easier to do it this way and quicker because when I get an email that says I got 15 well logs, they all have the wrong GPS, it's not going to be my top priority. I'm going to get to it when I can. But if you've got access, you can do it when you're looking at it. So makes it easier. We don't really want y'all getting off into the well completion data, because you're not going to know that, because you're not going to be able to see what's down hole unless you're running a camera down there. So, you know, anything in the owner information. And another thing we do not like doing is changing the owner's name just because somebody new bought the property, because that's all we'd be doing. And back in the old days, when we were looking up old well reports, what we said was, all right, what was the name of the owner at the time the well was drilled? So we like keeping that data the same. It makes it easier when you go into county appraisal districts and look up records. You know, you can see improvements there, and then you know that's about the time the well was put in and the name. So.
Yeah, thank you, David. I meant to point that out. I completely forgot. But yeah, if somebody is just like, a lot of times people think that this report is like an official statement of who owns the well. So the landowner might reach out and be like, hey, Jerry, no, you know, maybe it's Kramer saying, hey, you know what, Jerry moved out, I moved into his apartment, and so I want this to be changed to my name now. And that's what we wouldn't do. It would only be if it was like, oh, you know what, I actually was the person who had this well drilled, not Jerry. So I want my name listed there. But yeah, we don't want to try to keep up with changing ownership. We want it to be the original person who had the well drilled.
And we're going to make you put it in writing to us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does a district need to contact a driller before they do an amendment? Or on the flip side of that, once an amendment is approved, are the driller or the landowner informed?
No.
Okay. It will, so one thing, so no information is sent. There's, you know, no email or anything is sent to the driller or the landowner. It will, if a report is amended, there will be a note that will show up right here on the report that will say, report was amended on November 17th, 2023. So the report will be noted that amendment was done. And then, you know, somebody could see that and inquire. Won't say what was amended or anything like that, but there will be a note on the report saying that it was amended, but no, that the driller and the landowner don't get notified.
Okay. And then I think, okay, if the district obtains a well elevation and the driller did not fill in that data, should district staff put in the data?
You can.
Okay. And then there was a
all
kind of
information is welcome. But yeah, a lot of times drillers don't take time to get elevation, even though it's on the same screen as their GPS coordinates, but they don't put it in. If you need it and you'd like a record of it, and you're more than welcome, put it in there.
Okay. And then we had a similar question too of if they're making an amendment and they're still missing information, they can still submit the amendment just with what they know, even though it's still missing something else, right?
Yes, because I'll see that it's coming from a groundwater district. It'll have the person, whoever's doing that amendment's name. So I'll see that it's from a groundwater district. So I don't look over those reports as much as I do with the drillers. You know, we don't, because we know, okay, that's a groundwater district. We have several districts that do that right now. And when they come in, a lot of times I just hit approve and send it back.
All right, everyone, did you hear that? There's a lot of trust, put into our these districts. So
when they first start, I look at them closely. If they're right all the time, that's when I'll start just approving them.
Totally makes sense.
Hey, David, is there a limit number of times? I didn't know if there was, but is there a limit on the number of times a report can be amended?
So far, it hasn't been.
Okay. I didn't think there was, but I didn't know if there was something in place for that.
It's going to make the report longer.
A couple more probably quick questions. I do see a second for adding the pump size as a field to be filled in. So support for that. And are they allowed to change the proposed use, for example, changing irrigation to pond fill?
They could, but we kind of like to know what the driller was told at the time.
Okay,
So, you know, if it's an irrigation well, that's fine. They can use it for a pond. They can use a domestic well for a pond too. It doesn't really matter. You know, we kind of want to know what it's used for because we're going to look at different data inside, you know, on the construction part of it.
okay.
But you know, I don't think it's important to know that it's filling up a pond or whether it's doing crops. But you know,
Okay. So as long as whatever's filled in, it was the intent at the time of the report filing and the well drilling.
that's why it's called proposed use.
Yeah. And then I think this is the last one is, and Heather, you mentioned that it doesn't matter, but is there a push for lat and longitude to be submitted in decimal degrees rather than decimal minutes or degrees, minutes, seconds? Like, is there a preferred method or anything goes?
No, anything goes. So yeah, if you have it, that's what's really nice. I wish our groundwater database had it, and it doesn't. It only allows for a single entry format, which means if it comes to us in a different format, we have to convert it. So no, if you, whatever format you have the coordinates in, you can enter it. Just be where it gets confusing is when you have options, there's always the potential that you could select the wrong one. So like maybe you meant to do, because they look very similar in the application, but maybe you meant to do decimal degrees, but you accidentally selected degrees decimal minutes. And so I'll tell you now, and you won't remember. I mean, you might, I don't know you, you might remember, but if you don't, that's okay. But you're going to get like an object error failure. It's going to, when you click next to go to the map viewer, you're very likely going to get an error that says like object error, something like that. And usually that means the coordinates. One other thing I forgot is, it seems, I've heard this two ways, so I'm not sure, but you can enter the longitude without the minus sign. Some people say that they enter the minus sign and it takes it, but I'm gonna recommend that you not enter the minus sign, because what I'm hearing from people is sometimes it takes the minus sign and sometimes it doesn't, but it will always accept it if there's no minus sign in front of the longitude. So when you're entering in your the latitude and longitude, leave the minus sign off. And then, yeah, just double check the format that you're entering it in. Either one of those, entering a minus sign for longitude or having the wrong format selected, very likely will result in an error when you try to go to the map verification. But again, one thing I really want to stress, and hopefully by now you guys know, you're never bugging us when you call us. If you're getting error message or something, it's just, if it's telling you there's something, if it does to me, like I say, there's something that's not completed on this screen, you can't continue, just give us a call before you just get to where you're just so super frustrated. Call us and we can, the nice thing is that we can look at the report on our screen as well. So we can go through and look and see like, okay, this is what's causing it. Or maybe we're like, nope, you're right, everything is filled in, I don't know why it won't advance. And then we can get our IT people on the job and see if they can sort it out. So anything like that, please, please, please don't wait until you're just so angry and hate everyone before you call us. Just any questions that you have, give us a call. We're always happy to walk you through any part of this, any part of the process.
This really seems to be a collaborative effort. I mean, we've got two agencies working together, and then with the help of GCDs throughout the state, hopefully we'll get just a little bit closer to having really good data, right?
That's what we're hoping for.
Well, and with that, it looks like we covered all the questions. If there was any other thoughts that I may have missed, oh, Heather, would you pull back up the contact information just so people have it? This will be included in the recording, and I will send you this link and Heather and David's contact information. With that, if you don't have their contact information, if at any point you do need a connection to be made, you can always reach out to me, and I can forward emails as necessary and get y'all in the right place. So we'll send out the recording next week, so keep an eye on your email for that. And with that, we'll go ahead and finish up. Thank you all for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day and have a fantastic weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.